Hey Jungkook fans, welcome back to the channel. What if I told you one shocking number is making people question everything they thought they knew about social media power? Why is Jungkook's Instagram engagement so much higher than everyone else, and what does it reveal about his global influence that nobody is talking about enough? Tonight, we're diving into the stunning 41.2% figure that has fans and even industry insiders stunned, uncovering why many believe Jungkook isn't just dominating Instagram. He may be redefining digital superstardom itself, so stay with me, because this story gets even bigger. For years, fans and industry watchers have talked about Jungkook as a global force, but now, a new wave of discussion is building around something even more fascinating: his extraordinary power on Instagram. And the numbers people are analyzing right now are turning heads for one reason: they don't just show popularity, they suggest influence on a completely different scale. When conversations about engagement usually happen, most people focus on follower counts, bigger numbers, bigger star power, or so many assume. But engagement tells a different story. It reveals who is actually inspiring reactions, conversations, shares, excitement, real activity from real audiences. And this is where Jungkook seems to be operating in his own category. A reported engagement rate of 41.2% has sparked huge reactions because, in social media terms, that number feels almost unreal. For many creators, even a fraction of that would be considered impressive, so seeing a global artist reach that kind of response has left people asking one question: how is this even possible? What makes it even more dramatic is the gap. This isn't a close race. It isn't a narrow lead. It looks more like domination. Compared with other major K-pop names generating strong engagement themselves, Jungkook appears far ahead, and that difference has become part of the conversation. Fans aren't just celebrating the number, they're trying to understand what it says about his connection with audiences worldwide. And maybe that's where the real story begins. Because many believe this has less to do with algorithms and more to do with Jungkook himself. There's something about the way Jungkook interacts online that often feels effortless, almost unpredictable. He can disappear from social platforms for a while, then return with a simple post, a casual update, or even one unexpected photo, and the internet reacts instantly. That kind of response can't be manufactured. It comes from emotional investment. It comes from people paying attention. And in Jungkook's case, maybe it comes from a bond with fans that feels unusually personal, even at a global scale. Some observers point to authenticity. Unlike highly curated celebrity social media strategies, Jungkook often gives off a spontaneous energy. There's mystery, but there's also warmth. Fans never know exactly what's coming next, and that unpredictability creates anticipation. Every post feels like an event. Every appearance feels rare, and rarity creates impact. Others say the engagement surge reflects something even bigger: Jungkook's evolution from idol to cultural force. Because this isn't only about music anymore, it's about presence, influence, magnetism. Whether it's his solo era, fashion power, viral moments, or the way even casual audiences seem drawn to his content, there's a sense that Jungkook has crossed into another level of visibility. And maybe Instagram engagement is just one measurable sign of that. Some fans are even calling it proof that his digital impact may be unmatched among idols today. And honestly, it's hard not to see why. Because numbers this strong don't happen from passive followers. They happen when audiences are emotionally invested, when millions aren't just watching, they're responding. And perhaps what makes this even more fascinating is that Jungkook's social media power often mirrors what we've already seen in music. Records, streaming milestones, sold-out demand, viral dominance. Again and again, the pattern repeats. And now people are wondering if Instagram is simply reflecting the same phenomenon in another form. The scale of his influence. What also makes this moment interesting is how it challenges traditional ideas of celebrity reach. Usually, massive fame can dilute intimacy. The bigger a star becomes, the harder it is to maintain personal connection. But with Jungkook, many fans feel the opposite has happened. The bigger he becomes, the stronger that connection seems to grow. And maybe that's why engagement around him doesn't behave normally. Because it may not be functioning like ordinary fandom interaction. It may be functioning more like collective emotional momentum. And that changes everything. There's also a psychological side to this people keep mentioning. Jungkook creates anticipation without overexposure. He doesn't flood audiences constantly. He leaves space. And in that space, curiosity grows. So when he appears again, reactions explode. That kind of dynamic is incredibly rare. It turns ordinary posts into moments, and moments into events. No wonder people are asking why his engagement is so much higher than everyone else. Because maybe the answer isn't just numbers. Maybe it's something harder to quantify. Cultural pull, emotional loyalty, star power in its purest form. And perhaps all of those things collided into that astonishing 41.2%. What's even more striking, this discussion isn't only exciting fans. It's making people outside fandom pay attention too. Marketing observers, industry analysts, social media watchers. Because engagement at that scale raises bigger questions. Is Jungkook redefining digital influence? Is this what modern superstardom looks like? And could this be another sign his global impact is still expanding, not peaking? Those questions are exactly why this conversation keeps growing. Because once people stop seeing the number as just a statistic, it starts looking like a statement. A statement about audience devotion, a statement about relevance, and maybe a statement about who truly commands attention in today's digital era. For some, it confirms what they already believed, that Jungkook doesn't simply participate in social media trends. He drives them, and perhaps that is the real reason this story feels bigger than an Instagram ranking. It feels like evidence. Evidence that Jungkook's connection with the world may be operating on a level few can replicate. And if these numbers are telling us anything, it may be this. His influence isn't slowing down. It may just be getting harder to measure. And yet, what may make this even more remarkable is how naturally this influence seems to happen. There's no sense of forced virality, no obvious formula, no constant chase for attention, and somehow, that may be exactly why the attention keeps coming back to Jungkook. Because in an era where audiences are overwhelmed by endless content, authenticity becomes rare, and rare things attract loyalty. That may explain why even the smallest Jungkook update can trigger massive waves of reaction across platforms. A single image, a brief appearance, even a subtle change in style can spark trending discussions worldwide. That isn't ordinary celebrity engagement. That is cultural anticipation. And some fans believe this is connected to something people often overlook: Jungkook's ability to make people feel included in his journey. Whether through his artistry, personal moments, or the way he expresses emotion through performances, supporters often feel they're witnessing something genuine. That creates trust. And trust creates engagement. Maybe that's why this conversation about Instagram numbers feels much bigger than metrics. Because behind every percentage, there are millions of people choosing to respond, choosing to care, choosing to show up. And perhaps that is the most powerful form of influence any artist can have. There's also growing discussion that Jungkook's digital power may be reshaping how success is measured in K-pop itself. For years, achievements were often reduced to album sales, streams, and chart positions. But now engagement is becoming part of the bigger story. Not just who has reach, but who can activate audiences, who can move people instantly, who can create impact with a single post. And in that conversation, Jungkook's name keeps rising to the top. Some even argue this isn't just fan dedication anymore. It's brand power. Because the same magnetic pull drawing millions to his content is what makes global audiences watch everything he does so closely. And that level of interest can't be separated from influence. It is influence. What makes this more dramatic is the possibility that this may only be one chapter. Because if these engagement numbers reflect current momentum, what happens when new music arrives? What happens when major new projects begin? What happens when global anticipation around Jungkook intensifies again? Some believe we may be looking at a baseline, not a peak. And that thought alone has fans stunned. Because if 41.2% is already rewriting expectations, what could come next? Maybe that's why people can't stop talking about it. Not because it's just a shocking statistic, but because it feels like another clue, another signal, another reminder that Jungkook's impact may still be unfolding. And if that's true, then this story might not be about why his engagement is so much higher than everyone else, but whether anyone can even catch up. So what do you think? Is this proof that Jungkook has reached a level of influence no idol can match right now? Share your thoughts in the comments because I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this video and want more exclusive Jungkook updates, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Jungkook Fans, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next big story. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. See you in the next video.